This is Two Chicks Talkin Flicks, where we review movies. Love them or hate them, someone's got to do it. So enjoy the show. Hi, I'm Sarah, and we are April-free once again, but never fear. Our friend never fear, Chris from Cinematic Anarchy is here to fill in. Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Here I come to save the day.
Pretty much.
I'm good. I'm doing pretty good. I'm in good spirits today. How are you?
I'm great.
I'm excited to be here doing another podcast with you.
Yes, I'm excited too because we're not reviewing a movie this week. I'm so sorry for those who enjoy our movie reviews, since that's all we do. We are going to talk about our favorite and least favorite movie tropes. This can also be kind of
favorite,
like TV tropes too, because I feel like, or book tropes, they're all the same, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of favorites. I have things that I think are way overdone. Mm-hmm. So I guess there's a lot of least favorites as well. Do you want to start us off, or
yeah.
You want me to throw out the first one?
Let's see here. So one trope that I love is enemies to friends, but it needs to be a little bit more organic. I hate when it just, like, they hate each other and then boom, they're together. Don't like that. It needs to really, you need to see how their friendship grows into a relationship. So I enjoy that. And sometimes I feel like the romantic pairings in movies aren't how they should be. So my example for friends or enemies to lovers is in Pretty in Pink. Now, they didn't get together, but I thought James Spader's character and Molly Ringwald's character should have gotten together.
Okay. I can wholeheartedly agree with that. And I have Pretty in Pink on my shelf over here. Like, that's one of my John Hughes collection.
Yeah, like, if you're not going to pick Ducky for her, then it should have been James Spader, because they have way more chemistry. Blaine is boring. Absolutely boring. But his character, he hates her. Why does he hate her? But he also really likes her. And he hates that she doesn't like him. And I felt like there's a better relationship there to explore. And for some reason, they go with Blaine, who's the most beige character I've ever seen in a movie.
Okay. I really feel like at the end she went with what would be considered the safe choice rather than the exciting choice.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm not going to complain too much about a John Hughes film. I'll be honest.
I love John Hughes, but I feel like this one was done incorrectly.
Now I'm going to go the other route, because you went sort of like an enemies to lovers kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to go the route of enemies to friends, so to speak, or like the Odd Couple pairings. Midnight Run, mm-hmm. starring Robert De Niro and I'm trying to remember the other guy's name. It's Charles Grodin,
uh-huh.
where it's basically a cop who has I want to say prisoner / witness that he has to transport from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. And they hate each other the entire film. Just absolutely hate each other. By the end, they're friends.
Aww.
So it kind of goes the same way with, is it Tango and Cash?
Uh-huh.
That's the Sylvester Stallone, Kurt Russell buddy flick, where they're like two cops who absolutely hate each other. By the end, they're friends.
Or Turner and Hooch.
Turner and Hooch, yep. Yeah, can't forget the animal aspect. There's a lot of films like Turner and Hooch.
Yeah. I do like
Canine
that.
is another good one.
I love a good friendship in a movie where you can actually see it developing.
Like people that hate each other, but it's just a misunderstanding that sort of has to be worked through.
Yeah, I always like that.
Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite tropes that also a lot of people think is way overdone, but I kind of think it works. I don't think I ever see it stopping anyway, is the pretty person who is rendered unattractive by a pair of glasses.
Right.
It happens everywhere, whether it's superhero films or rom-coms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's everywhere.
Yes.
I can name both my favorite and least favorite versions of that. Favorite would probably be anything involving the Superman angle.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody. I think it's my favorite because nobody sees Clark Kent and Superman because of a pair of fucking glasses.
Right. Well, and his hair is different.
Even still, it's the absolute most ridiculous disguise. I put on glasses, therefore I am not he.
Yeah. Well,
and my least favorite would probably be, and you can kick me if you want for this one, but the Princess Diaries.
No, I get it.
Yeah, no. They must up my hair, put on a pair of glasses, and I'm no longer attractive. No.
So my version of that would be, and she's all that.
She's all that, yep.
But I love in Not Another Teen Movie when they make fun of it. But she has glasses and wears overalls.
Right? It's an absolute joke. They make fun of the trope throughout that entire movie. I thought it was hilarious.
I love it.
You like her? She's got glasses and overalls. She ain't going nowhere.
One trope that's sort of similar that was on my list is in like Cinderella when they have to wear masks and it barely covers their eyes. Barely. And all the rest of their features you can still see. And people were like, who's that girl? What? We've never seen her before. We only go to school and make fun of her every day. But because she's wearing this tiny little mask, we no longer can tell who she is.
I think that almost falls in line with the glasses thing with like Peter Parker wearing glasses. I think they had it was the Tobey Maguire version of Peter Parker that had the glasses, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they did that with the new films.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I can't think of other movies that had the masks though. Maybe 10 Things I Hate About You. There were masks involved. Like you couldn't tell that the two lead Shakespearean character lovers were who they were. Right. I'm wearing a mask. You don't know who I am.
Can't tell. One trope that I hate is hackers.
Okay, explain.
So when they're just able to hack into anything and everything. And they do it so quickly. Have you ever tried to do anything on a computer? It doesn't go that fast. There's lots you have to do. They're just tip-tapping away. And my dad's a coder. It's not that easy.
Right.
Or when they zoom into a photo and they're like, it's blurry. Can you clean it up a little? And they just touch a button and all of a sudden you can see everything in the photo, even baby hairs on their face.
I'm trying to remember the name of the movie where the cop's like, hey, that's blurry. Can you clean that up a little? And the technician just looks at them and goes, that's not how this equipment works.
Right?
It's grainy. It's going to be grainy. Deal with that.
Thank you.
No, you have to. I'd love to see just one movie like Hackers, the sequel, and it's just some guy gets to the point where he has to hack something, and then 30 minutes later, to be continued.
Exactly. Right.
You're just watching this entire film of him trying to hack something. We're not there yet. Okay. Everything's happening around him. Are we done? No, we're not there yet. 30 minutes later. Okay, just wait for the sequel.
Yeah. Because it doesn't happen that quickly.
What about the trope of uninventive numbered sequels, where they don't even bother giving you a name or something to go along with it? It's just part 2 or part 3.
Well,
like they did that with like the Friday the 13th movies, where they didn't really give them a lot of, I think it was not until later, like maybe like number 4, number 5, where they started providing like extra information, like a new name, like Jason Takes Manhattan or something like that. Or I don't even think like Friday the 13th X had anything attached to it. It's just numbered sequels. Hellraiser 1, Hellraiser 2, Hellraiser 3. Come up with an inventive name to explain what you're about to watch.
I kind of disagree with you because I feel like if you say Hellraiser 1, Hellraiser 2, like even if that's not the name, that's the name people are going to give it. You're like, what movie did you go see? Oh, Hellraiser Part 2. They're not going to be like, so, okay, I love the Mighty Ducks, right? The first one's called the Mighty Ducks. The second one is called D2, the Mighty Ducks. And then the third one is D3, the Mighty Ducks. And so, like, I just call it Mighty Ducks 1, 2, and 3. Because it's just easier. And people would, if I just say, oh, I really like D2, who's going to know what that means?
I mean, I guess for the idea of keeping them in sequential order when you're going to watch them or discuss them with other people, that does help a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of want like something, even if you're going to go like Friday the 13th Part 3, add that whole Jason Takes Manhattan thing. Don't just leave it at Part 3.
That's true.
Like, D2, D3. Don't just leave it at D2, D3. Add a little bit to it to kind of say, this is what makes this different from the last piece of shit you just watched.
Yeah. Another trope that I hate is the queen bee, when all her little people around her don't even like her, and none of them ever say anything to them. We're just going to allow the popular rich person to get away with everything. No, change it up nowadays. Like we're so progressive and yet we're regressive all the time. And
I think that's always the downfall of the queen bee, though, is that she's surrounded by people that don't particularly like her, but she rules by fear.
I guess.
And when her minions realize they no longer have to fear her, the queen bee is no longer the queen bee.
Yeah.
And I don't like it either. So I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. Like,
you got a little bit of that with like Mean Girls and a little bit in Heathers.
Yeah.
Heathers is the queen bee of the queen bee films.
Or
really?
Never Been Kissed.
Never Been Kissed. Yeah, definitely.
All those kind of movies. It's just like, ugh, stop it already. And why does it always have to be the popular girls that are the bullies in school? Why can't it be the people nobody talk about? Or why isn't it guys that are the mean girls in school? Why does it always have to be girls?
Here's my thought. You should. Why don't we flip the script and have the nerdy, intelligent people be the bullies of the perceived beautiful, popular people?
Well, we kind of had that in, what is it? 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump, whatever the one where they go back to school. Cause I think they
went back to school in both, didn't they?
Yeah. I guess they went to college in the second one. So it's the first one. Yeah. When they go back to school and the popular guy isn't popular, the nerdy guy is the popular one. And it was so different for them because they're so used to the status quo a certain way. And then in that movie, they flipped it on its head. I enjoyed that. That movie made me laugh so hard Because he's like, no, only nerds wear bow straps on their backpack. And then they show up and everybody's two-strapping it. I enjoy that. I like when movies surprise me like that.
I think one of this might touch on something you said earlier, but romantic subplots in action films, I don't really enjoy.
Yeah.
Like two people, they feel the need to add this romantic tension between two people that are trying to get through an action movie. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel that it helps.
Depends on the movie.
Like what was the most recent one that I didn't like because it was like a dual romantic subplot, almost a triangle. The most recent movie with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum in it.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I'm trying to remember the name. Mm-hmm. My brain is not processing the film right now because I'd seen it a little while back. But that particular film, I felt like the romantic subplot didn't need to happen.
Agreed. I thought it was
the thing between her and Brad Pitt, and the budding thing between her and Channing Tatum. And I also feel that way about a couple of old Ben Affleck films too. Mm-hmm. Like, and this might actually touch on another trope: the straight guy that can turn the gay girl.
Right.
And for some reason, Ben Affleck seems to be the epitome of that particular trope.
You know,
because he's done it twice.
I feel like of the sexes, if we're gonna have someone stop being whatever, I feel like a guy would be more willing to sleep with a girl than a gay woman would be more willing to sleep with a guy. Does that make sense?
I don't think I've seen that movie though.
No,
I haven't seen the straight girl that tries to turn the gay guy. I mean, I've seen the straight girl longs for the straight guy, but I've never seen a complete turn.
Yeah, because like I feel like a gay guy would be like, well, you know, there's a different hole for me to play with. Like, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah. But a girl.
No offensive to anybody gay that might be listening right now.
Hey,
I'm just saying I haven't seen it in films.
Yeah, no, they never do that. They should really try that. Because
I mean, I would see it. I'm trying to think of who could be the cover girl of turning straight guy or gay guy straight. Who would be the one? Because I don't think you're going to get like maybe some over the top supermodel person to be that person. It would have to be somebody that made them comfortable, not intimidated them.
Yeah.
You know? So it has to be like the girl next door. Like I would say early Sandra Bullock would have been able to do that. Mm-hmm. Like back from her Demolition Man days.
But see, okay, so you were talking about love interests in action films, and I was thinking Sandra Bullock and Speed. Like,
okay,
that romance is not necessarily like if you removed it from the plot, it'd still be the same movie, but it heightens the movie. And I feel like it actually ends well. Sometimes you're like, really? There was no need for any of that. But that one, I feel like it's a payoff. You get that payoff at the end. They survive something traumatic, and that's their reward.
I can see the need for the trope. I'm not saying that it doesn't contribute to a lot of films and doesn't give a wonderful payoff, but I feel like a lot of action films fall too hard. Like they can't figure out how to get this film to progress without that romantic subplot tucked underneath.
Yeah,
not always necessary.
I do agree, but I do think in some movies it's needed. Just like, okay, Sandra Bullock again, and Miss Congeniality. You need that tension between the two of them. It works. It's a good payoff. But then you go to Miss Congeniality number 2.
Right.
She's, I don't know. Does it have a subtitle?
I don't think I think it's just Miss Congeniality 2.
Yeah. they're not together. And it's such a slap in the face for all the people who watched the first one. So it's like, well, then why did you even get them together if they're not going to be together in the second one? And then that one's more about friendship, and it's enemies to friends. So it's just like
it's more of a bros before hoes kind of thing.
Yeah, it's so weird how they have both tropes in a 2-movie film.
What is the female equivalent of bros before hoes?
Hoes before
gotta be
bros.
Hoes before bros, I guess.
Yeah.
I get just inverted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
yeah, no, I
hoes over
can
bros.
definitely. I think if they're going to have the romantic subplot, it's the same thing with Speed 2 as well.
Yeah.
You know, if they're going to have that romantic subplot and have this major event bring them together, explain why they're not in the sequel.
Exactly. He died. You know, like something simple.
Yeah.
Not we
the guy
broke
actually
up.
left the mom that got him in the end.
Yeah, like they're not supposed to break up. They're supposed to be it forever couple. So if they're not together, like you could just be like, oh, he's out of town. Like,
well, what if it was just the romantic subplot, the romantic tension that happened throughout the entire catastrophic event, and now they're together and they're like, well, now we have no chemistry because things are blowing up around us.
Yeah.
We need that perpetual stress. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to see somebody else that's about to be blown up.
Yeah. I mean,
we can't make this work without explosives.
Like if their relationship isn't strong enough to be in the normal world and he's not going to be in number 2, then don't have them get together in number 1. That's just dumb.
Okay. I got one of my favorite tropes that I think need to be used more.
Okay.
Some people complain about it, but I think it needs to be used more. Animated openings to live action films. I do.
All right.
I do. I love have you ever seen One Crazy Summer? Not only is there an animated opening, but there's like little bits of like subtext throughout the movie because he's an animator. Obviously, it lends to him actually doing his thing throughout the movie.
Okay.
But it's John Cusack, Bob Goldthwait, Demi Moore. Fantastic 80s film. If you've never seen it, find it. You'd love it, I think.
Probably.
Based off of movies that I've listened to you present on your podcast, I really think you would love that film.
I probably would.
I'm promoting a movie here.
It's 30 years old, 40 years old.
Yeah, but it's a great film. If you haven't seen it, yeah, definitely watch it. I'll sit down and I'll bring you onto our podcast and we can talk about it.
Okay.
But no, I like animated openings. Either whether it's the storybook opening to like Princess Bride, you know, or they have what did they do recently?
Grease.
Grease is a good one. Oh no, I was thinking of a different movie recently and my brain just, is it Enchanted that they open with a storybook? I think.
Maybe.
There's a lot of different movies that have that animation opening to it. Grease is probably a very prominent one, but I love that little bit of animation at the beginning gets you into it. Sometimes they explain a little bit of the plot with the animation over the credits. How did we get here?
I have a movie in my head that does that, and I cannot think of what it is. Oh, they do it in the original Parent Trap.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's true. They did it with a lot of Disney movies.
Yeah, it worked out really well in that movie. You get the real sense of what happened to the parents.
That's the old Haley Mills one, right?
Yes.
Yes. They did that with a lot of the really old ones. I think they even did a little bit of that with Mary Poppins, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, speaking of tropes, that is one. Why are they such enemies? If I met a girl at camp and she looked exactly like me, she would probably be my best friend. I would have to know more. I'd be like, come here. Let's be best friends because you have my face.
Oh no, I'd go completely different direction. Like almost oh God, what is the name of that film? Face Off. There we go. Like, why do you have my face? Give me my face back.
Yeah.
Like, if I woke up one day with somebody that looked exactly like me in my bunk, there's something wrong.
Yeah, I would be like, hey, you look exactly like me. What are your parents' names? Where did you grow up? What's your birthday? Because I think we could be related. Like, that's exactly what I would have done. That, I mean, obviously that wouldn't be the movie, but
I think I'd be the weird guy. Excuse me, sir. You look exactly like me. Can you mind if I borrow a little bit of hair? I feel the need to go home and send things to Ancestry.
right? Exactly. That's one trope that I hate. I hate the not communicating. And I know sometimes they use it to drive the story, but a lot of times it's not needed. Like, you could have a simple conversation. Like, if you overhear two people talking and you're like, oh, they guess they don't like me, when they were actually talking about somebody else, and you're like, all you had to do was be like, hey, I heard you, so you don't like me? And they'd be like, no, I wasn't talking about you. No, I do like you.
Arguments that happen out of under misunderstood circumstances.
Yeah. Like, that trope could go away. Just go away.
Right. I mean, just a simple question. Were you talking about me?
Yeah.
There you go. Whole misunderstanding clarified. If they're talking about you, be pissed. If they're not talking about you, no movie.
Or when best friends hear something and they don't go tell their best friend. Wouldn't that be the first thing you do?
You would think, like, oh, I don't know if I should tell, like, the whole moral quandary. Should I tell them? Shouldn't I tell them? You should tell them they're your friend. What are you doing?
Exactly. Especially
Why
if you
wouldn't you say
know
something?
they like that person, and then you hear that that person likes them. You go, hey, I just overheard Billy likes you. Like, simple. It's
simple.
a very simple formula.
This is a conversation that best friends should be able to have without too many moral hiccups.
Yeah.
If you're not telling your best friend these important details, are they really your best friend?
Exactly. Something else that bothers me is when they have family, they cast a family, right, in a movie, and none of them look alike. Like, that bothers me. If you have two blonde parents and a brunette child, it takes me out of the movie. I don't believe that they're your kid.
Right. Explain where this child came from. Are they adopted? Did you accidentally sleep around, but you've forgiven each other? You know, accidentally. That's not an accident. But,
Yeah, especially if all the other kids are blonde and you have one brunette child. Where'd that kid
brunette
come from?
child explains the brief period of separation and divorce before they got back together to remarry.
Yeah. Like, or if that kid dyes their hair, be like, oh, I'm going to go dye my hair again. My hair is brunette. You know, just throw it off. Like, why?
So, going back to the old Parent Trap movie days, one trope that I think is underdone, and I think they could come up with much better ideas for, is the body swap trope.
Ooh, yeah.
So there's a lot of times that I've loved it, a lot of times that I've hated it, but I think that they haven't done enough with the idea, explored how weird some of these things could really get. Mm-hmm. You know, it always seems to be the standard mother and daughter, father and son, or enemies. I think we got a good one with the movie Freaky, where the teenage girl swaps bodies with the serial killer. You know, I thought that was a really good twist on the body swap trope.
Or Hot Chick.
But I don't think we've explored it enough. Hot Chick, yeah, that was a good one. There was another one that I had in mind. Because I've seen, like, Vice Versa and Like Father, Like Son. Of course, all the Freaky Friday incarnations. Seen all of them. I just don't think they've explored enough weird body swaps. Like, people that have nothing to do with each other.
You know,
you could have,
of,
like...
Oh, sorry.
Like, maybe a criminal versus prisoner body swap. A lot of comedic stuff you could do with it. Now, you can continue. You had an idea.
Or the cop and a prisoner. That would be fun.
Right?
I was just gonna say, speaking of body swap, so I listened to the Boy Meets World podcast or Pod Meets World, and they did an episode where they focused on Ryder Strong's movie that he did for Disney in between the first and second season of Boy Meets World. It was called Summertime Switch, and he is a rich kid that gets sent to a juvenile delinquent camp. And then the juvenile delinquent gets sent to his rich posh camp that he was supposed to go to. And neither one of them questioned anything. Now, if you are the juvenile delinquent and you're going to this posh one, of course you're not going to say anything. But if you're the posh kid and you're going to this juvenile delinquent camp, like, I would be throwing a fit immediately.
I would be protesting like Dante and Mallrats. Like, I'm not even supposed to be here. What is this?
Yeah. Like, his driver just left him before he got on the bus. And his bus was all like, a crappy old bus. And then the other kid got on the really fancy bus. And it's just like, you would think you would have more questions.
That driver hates him.
Yeah.
That driver hates that kid. That he's just like, you know what? You deserve this. I know that bus isn't the right one. I'm leaving you here.
Exactly. Bye. That's true. He was a jerk to the driver, so that makes sense.
Like, I'm not going to question it. That looks like a prison bus. So if it's what I think it is, I'm good.
But it's just like in movies when people just go along with stuff. Why aren't you asking questions? I wouldn't just
Shouldn't
follow
there be more
people
of a
blindly.
fight in this situation. Like, at the very least, pulling out, do you know who my father is? Why am I here? Explain to me why I'm in prison.
I'm like, I'm supposed to be at this other camp. And then they call that camp and be like, hey, do you have a Frederick whatever there? And they're like, yeah. Like, well,
I mean, did they go by the same name?
Yeah. So one of them was Frederick and one of them was Freddie, but they had the same last name. And so when they called the name, he went.
Neither kid really. Like, I didn't clue in. That's not really my name. It's Frederick, not Freddie, but thank you.
Yeah. And so it was, it's Disney.
Have you actually seen that film?
I have. It's been a really long time.
I'm gonna have to go look that up now. I'm wondering if that's on Disney Plus.
No, it's not. You can find the full episode or the full movie on YouTube.
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask you to send me that after we're done here today. Okay. Send me that right in a message because I'm gonna want to watch that.
But it's just like when people blindly follow what other people say and they never question it, and I'm just like, why would you do that?
Okay, here's a trope that I think is both underdone and overdone at the same time. Okay. Spontaneous musical or dance sequences in the middle of a movie that has nothing to do with dance sequences. Right. Always seems to happen in rom-coms.
Yes.
There's definitely good ones and there's definitely bad ones. One of my favorites, I believe, is now I'm gonna it's the Julia Roberts film, My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yes.
That was probably one of my favorites.
Yes. So good. We call it the lobster scene.
I think it was really good. And my least favorite is when they try to do it in to bring more interest to really overdone sitcoms, like sitcoms that are on their last legs. They break out the musical dance numbers for no reason and make everybody dance.
Yeah. Now, okay, so I liked it in How I Met Your Mother when they did that. But I watch Grey's Anatomy and they had a musical episode and I didn't like it. So it depends on the context and when they're doing it. A lot of TV shows have had this musical episode for whatever reason.
A lot of sitcoms have. I haven't seen a lot of it in dramatic TV shows. And sometimes it takes you right out of the show when they try to pull some kind of musical for no reason.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, what was it? The old Drew Carey show. They did a whole musical episode, which just didn't seem to fit the show at all. Not that I didn't like what they did, but I just didn't feel it fit with the episode. Like they were trying to bring more interest.
Well, I mean, the beginning of the show, like the opening sequence is them all dancing. So is it really against the character of the show?
True. I think the best incarnations television show wise to date are both the musical episodes of Scrubs and Buffy.
I knew you were going to say that.
You're right there with me.
I knew you were going to say Buffy.
I loved Buffy, and I think that they did so well with that episode. It deserved all of the positive response that it got.
You know, a trope, and I don't know if it's a trope, but I've noticed it in a lot of movies and TV shows, and I like it, but I don't like it. So sometimes when they show product placement, it's like, oh, enough is enough. But then other times I'm like, oh, they must be a sponsor of that. Like when you get a close up of the Ford symbol, or they'll like turn a box of cereal around and it's Captain Crunch. You're like, oh, okay, I guess they're supporting this.
Coke and Pepsi are big ones that
Coke,
you see everywhere.
Pepsi. So sometimes I do like pointing that out. And then other times I'm like, oh my God, enough is enough. Okay, Sunkissed, I get it.
And then, of course, there's some films that are so heavily sponsored, like Mac and Me, that literally the entire movie is an advertisement for, like, what is it, Coke and McDonald's?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
One trope that I could do away with, that I see a lot in movies and I see it in TV shows, is needing to have the dumb person in the ensemble cast.
Yeah.
So it seems they always need to have the dumb guy or the dumb girl in an ensemble cast to be able to, because they want somebody that they can do all the pratfall comedy on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you're just endearingly stupid, Joey.
Well, on the same token is dumb parents. They always have to have, like in teen comedies or teenage shows, they always have to have the dumb parents. And I'm like, parents are pretty smart. Where are you finding
dumb parents like with highly intelligent children?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, no.
Ferris Bueller is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Highly intelligent child who can pull the wool over at parents who seem to not understand that he's not sleeping in his bed. That's a dummy that he's hooked up to a stereo.
Though I kind of feel like they're so enamored by him that they don't want to think he's doing something wrong.
So enamored to the point that his sister is just pissed off all the time. Like, why do you guys love him so much? He gets away with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so weird.
Well, I mean, that's what drove that entire movie, is him getting away with everything. I'm thinking he's had more than one day off. This just happens to be the one we're focusing on today.
Or dumb principles, if we're talking about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like, he kind of catches on. I mean, he catches on, obviously, but he's always foiled by him. And it's just like
adults constantly being foiled by children. That's a bad trope.
Yes. Unless it's Scooby-Doo.
Okay. Well, yeah, but mind you, most of those people don't come off as stupid. They're pretty intelligent, and they're pulling the wool over everybody else's eyes. It's just these, and you have to admit that outside of maybe Velma, nobody in that group really should be trying to investigate anything.
True. She's the
Daphne,
smart one.
Fred, Shaggy, Scooby. No, none of them. Velma is the intelligent one. That's the trope of the one intelligent person amidst a group of idiots.
I think Scooby's also smart. For a dog.
He's smart, but in the way of well, I mean, he's a talking dog.
Yeah.
Of course, he has some kind of intelligence. Right there, he's elevated over Shaggy, who just like is just food all the time.
Scoob. Yeah.
Oh no, Scoob! I can't do the voice. No, they're both cowards, very very scared, and they kind of bumble into the solution all the time.
Yeah. And
like, why haven't we once seen an episode where Velma just saves the day?
Right? By herself, you know?
Right?
She's
there
a hip,
should be an episode
lady.
where Velma solves everything, and we didn't need these guys.
Exactly.
I think that's what they were leading towards with the animated show on HBO, the Velma focused show.
Yeah. That's because she's the best character.
I wholeheartedly agree. I do. I think that Linda Cardellini actually was one of the best people to portray the Velma character. I just wish they had done a separate episode for her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you guys. I'm going to go off and do my own thing.
Exactly. And speaking of horror movies, because we just reviewed a horror movie, you can check it out. When they go running upstairs or they don't hide and stay hidden. Who's just going to wander out after a couple minutes and be like, oh, the coast is probably clear. I'm sure. He gave up. I can tell he just gives up super easily. So let me just get out of my safe hiding spot that he couldn't find me in. No.
There are murderers in the house.
Yeah.
There are doors. There are windows. There are so many escape routes. Don't hide under the bed. Don't hide in the closet. Don't hide behind the wall. Don't hide under sheets in the bed. Get the hell out of the house.
Yeah.
To a place where you can run. And don't go upstairs or into the basement.
Never. Go out the front door.
Most people get killed in horror movies, let's be honest, because they've decided they can hide, and their fight or flight instincts have been, no, let's just hide.
Yeah.
There's no fight or flight. It's just, let's stand here and wait.
Exactly.
Or horror movies that lean on the two kids having sex to kill them.
Well, that's the one way you die is if you're not a virgin.
Right? If you're the virgin in the horror movie, hey, good for you. We'll see you at the end.
Yeah.
Wait for all these other stupid people to die.
If you show your boobs, you're gonna die.
Exactly. Any nudity whatsoever.
Yeah, unless you're Jamie Lee.
Overly hormonal guy.
Yeah, unless you're Jamie Lee Curtis, you're gonna die.
Okay, I've got another trope that I'm not sure if you'd like it or hate it, but I hate it. Movies that are specifically built around two stars that people actually want to see in a movie together. Doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So whether you're talking about like Tango and Cash with Stallone and Kurt Russell,
mm-hmm.
or the entire Expendables franchise, it always seems to be people wanting to see Sylvester Stallone or Robert De Niro in a movie together with somebody else.
Yeah.
Occasionally Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I don't like Scarlett Johansson. So almost I don't think she has chemistry with anybody ever in movies.
I do. One movie.
What movie?
One film. Ghost World with Thora Birch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
film.
Makes sense.
Before she blew up as a famous actor.
Yeah. But in all her other movies, I don't think she ever really has chemistry with the counterpart ever. Now,
I think her. Go ahead.
I was going to say her chemistry with her sister in Black Widow. That was a good pairing of her and her sister. But other than that, anytime she has a romantic interest, I don't see it. It's never great.
I think movies like, was it Under the Skin? And is it Under the Skin? Is that the movie that I'm thinking of?
I have no idea.
No, she played like an alien in one movie, and then there was another movie called Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
that she did really well in, which kind of felt like a mix between a sort of like I want to say Inception. It's not really a romantic anything. It's more of a sci-fi film for her. And she was sort of a standalone entity. So it was more of her playing off herself. She did very well in that film. But when she's in a romantic setting, or whether it's a drama or an action film or a comedy, I don't like her.
And I love Reese Witherspoon, but I kind of feel the same way about her. I don't really believe a lot of the relationships that she has and stuff. Now, in Sweet Home Alabama, I did see the relationship with her and Josh Lucas. Okay. But in a lot of other movies, I don't quite see it.
Reese, I don't like people that get pigeonholed into romantic comedies. It seems like there's a lot of female actors that wash themselves out in romantic comedies, whether it's Sandra Bullock, Reese Witherspoon. You know, there's a clutch of people. Even Drew Barrymore. Mm-hmm. The romantic comedy thing is done to death because they get pigeonholed. It's like, this is what you can do and this is what you do well.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that, but they have more to them. And if you watch them in these other films where they're taking out of that romantic comedy aspect, they do fantastic. Mm-hmm. But always seemed, okay, well, I have to get the paycheck, so I have to go back to this film, which has already pigeonholed me as this girl.
Yeah.
You know, for the longest time, Sandra Bullock was pigeonholed as the girl next door in the romantic comedy films. But she has a much farther range than that. She's able to do it a lot more with what she has. They just don't give her those chances.
So are there any other tropes you can think of?
There's a couple of things, I guess, that lean into romantic comedies, like the guy that always has to save the girl to be able to, he has to go above and beyond to save the girl to be able to impress her so that she wants to be with him. Mm-hmm. It's not always saving the girl. It's more of it's like, I am the nerdy guy. I won't be able to get you unless I do something massive to make you pay attention to me.
Yeah.
I don't really like that.
Me neither.
Because it makes me feel like a lot of people are like, well, you have a personality and you have a heart, but unless you are able to put yourself on some epic level, okay, fine. Now you've got the girl. Is she going to be able to see you for who you are now? Mm-hmm. Or are you going to constantly have to step up that epic momentum to impress her throughout your relationship? What was the film that had Hayden Panettiere in it that was like right up there? Like she didn't like him at all. Ooh. Now that's going to bother me. I have movies in my head. I can't remember the names. That always bothers me because I've been trying to come up with I think you know what movie I'm talking about too.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of movies that she's been in, and all I could think was Remember the Titans and Scream.
She's been in a lot of good movies. Even there was a Bring It On sequel that had her in it. That wasn't too bad.
Yes, she was in Bring It On. That's actually
I Love You, Beth Cooper.
Oh, okay.
Where you have this girl that like he idolizes her.
Yes.
And he goes through hell throughout the entire movie, and that's what impresses her.
Yeah.
That above and beyond that he goes through to be with her. Mm-hmm. However, what is the rest of your life going to be like if you had to take that kind of drastic measure to be able to impress her?
Right.
You know, even with Scott Pilgrim, that particular film, the amount that he has to go through, the 7 deadly exes, mm-hmm. to be able to win her heart. You know, she was very willing to just go off with one of her exes, which he has to battle to the coin exploding death, I guess.
Yeah.
it just makes me wonder. I don't like it because it makes me wonder, what is he going to have to go through for the rest of his relationship with this person to keep them by his side? Does he get to go back to being the every guy, the nerdy guy? Or does he have to continually up the ante through their relationship to keep her? Oh, you're boring now. Okay, well, let me go fight off this guy.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. I feel the same for movies where the girl has to change themselves too. It's like that. No, what?
The ugly duckling to beautiful princess thing, where they have to. You see that all over the place. Oh no, she's not worth my time because she's in glasses and overalls. But oh, now look at this.
Well, or John Tucker Must Die. She does all this stuff to trap him. She traps him. He likes her. She breaks up with him because he does something boneheaded, and then he tries to win her back. And it's like, no, guy, you're a bad dude. Like, no one should get with you. Then she gets with his brother, which is who she should have been with. But you don't really know her. You think you know her because she told you all this false stuff. But, you don't really know her, bro. You don't deserve her.
No, I mean, that was an interesting movie anyway. I mean, I kind of like the back and forth, but no, that guy definitely, he deserves to be by himself.
Yeah.
So you need to figure out a few things, dude, and then get back into the scene because you're not going to be worth much to anybody that dates you.
Yeah, he's a man whore.
He's he was the walking epitome of what do they call that
douchebag?
I don't want to say douchebag. You know the guys that put girls down to be able to try to win their affection?
Yeah.
Like they do the slights, but it's like underhanded slights where they like mention something. You'd be perfectly fine if you just changed this about yourself.
That's on Whatever It Takes with Shane West.
Yeah.
That's how James Franco tells him to get with that girl. He's like, just insult her. He's like, but I like her. I don't want to insult her. He's like, trust me. He's like, says something about her jeans. Like, oh, yeah. You'd look good if you weren't wearing those jeans or something like that. And she's like, what's wrong with these jeans? They're really expensive. He's like, well, they're fine, but your ass looks terrible or whatever. And she's like, really? How is that impressive? I want him to think I'm beautiful, not that I need work.
No, I don't understand how they make films with women or men. They do it with guys too, not as often. But they make these films are like, you have to change everything about yourself to get the guy. How is that okay?
Don't know.
How is it like the whole idea behind the movie is to make girls or guys feel that you're not good enough unless you change everything about who you are to be with that person.
See, and that's why people bring up Grease all the time. And they're like, she had to change everything about her for him to like her. And I said, yeah, but remember, he also changed for her. So he shows up in a Letterman sweater because he wanted to be what he thought she wanted, which was a sport and, someone who could be seen with her, not this grease-haired guy. People forget that because he's not showing up in a scantily clad black outfit, but he's wearing a sweater vest.
All he did was take off the jacket. And, he put on the sweater vest. That's right.
Yeah, he had a sweater on, a cardigan, his Letterman cardigan or whatever.
Yeah. Which technically is just part of you being, I guess that's more of a jock thing than a greaser thing.
But because she was a cheerleader, he was trying to be more into school spirit and sports and all of that.
I think they both just accepted each other for who they were at the end.
Exactly.
Is this really what you want? No. Is this really what you want? No. Okay, fine. Now that you like me for me and I like you for you, let's just go now.
Exactly.
And we'll drive off into, what was that? Why did the car just drive off into the sunset, but like literally launch like a rocket ship?
Yeah, I've never understood that.
Like you had me throughout the entire movie, and then they just drive off into the sky, and I'm like, well, was this like supposed to be a prequel to Back to the Future? What was that?
Well, in Grease 2, he changes for her, but I kind of think she changes for him too, because she's trying to be smarter and, get better grades and not be so, not judgmental, but, he's a different status than she is.
I don't know. Throughout that entire movie, I never got the feeling that he was truly who he was. Like, I always thought that he was some next evolution of what he thought she wanted.
I don't know.
So I'm not sure you really got a true him by the end, even though she tried to change hard for him.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm misinterpreting Grease 2. I don't know.
Who's that
I didn't watch
guy?
that one quite as much as the first one.
Where did he come from? I don't know. It's a good movie. It's my favorite of the two Grease movies.
You like the second one more than the first one?
Yup. I do.
For which character?
Oh, I love Michael.
Michael, okay.
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Where do you stand on the trope of loud romantic speeches in public?
Depending on the speech. I don't like proposals in public. So if that's what it's for, then I don't like it. Give me Leap Year when he does it on a cliff in Ireland, I take that over a public proposal, which is just weird.
Like, what was the fever pitch where he does it at the baseball game?
Does he propose?
Jimmy Fallon, Drew Barrymore? Because he was a Red Sox enthusiast. That was his whole thing. Fever pitch was an advertisement for the Red Sox, pretty much.
Yeah. No, I love the movie. But that's why I was trying to think, does he propose in public?
See, I don't like the idea of proposals in public to begin with.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that puts undue pressure on the person that you're proposing, because now they're in public with all these people watching.
Yeah.
So you're going to only get one of two reactions. You're going to get the enthusiastic yes or the drastic no.
Yeah.
But it's a forced response either way.
Like, if 100% she's going to say yes, do it in public. But if you don't do it in public.
If you're doing it in public to manipulate the response, you would deserve some anger when you get home. Like, how could you do that to me in front of all these people?
Oh, okay. That's actually one trope that I hate. Okay, when someone proposes in a movie and the person says, I'm not ready, why is that the end of the relationship? Like,
I never understood that either. Like, okay, this is not the time for this.
Yeah, everything's going fine. You really like her, or he really likes you, and then someone proposes and they say, no, I'm not ready right now. I love you, but I'm not ready. Why is that the end of the relationship? Like, why can't you just be like, okay, so is this a thing where you don't ever want to get married to me, or, have a conversation?
I mean, why does it have to go from drastics to drastic?
Yeah.
Like, I proposed, you said you're not ready. Oh my God, it's the end of the world and our relationship. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Or the idea of weddings being, or highlighting a guy's fear of commitment.
Yeah.
In films.
Or girls. We have Runaway Bride.
They don't. Yeah, I was going to say they don't do it so much to girls as they do to guys. But Runaway Bride is definitely a good one.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the best soundtracks to a film.
Yeah, I've never understood why people are so wigged out on their wedding day. It's like, okay, you love this person, they love you, you're getting married, and if it doesn't work out, you can get divorced. Like it's not that big of a deal. Or if you get up there and someone changes their mind, you can get an annulment. Just show up. If you don't want to get married and you're unsure, call it off before the day of. It's the day of. If you haven't told me no by now, then we're getting married.
That's another trope I don't like. Being left at the altar being a catalyst for the remainder of the romantic comedy film.
Yeah. Do better.
You know, I don't like, because now we're talking, okay, well, we've explained the fear of commitment because they've been left at the altar once before, whether it's the guy or the girl, and now forever they're going to be treating the opposite sex, you know, at arm's length.
Yeah.
Like I'm a philandering bastard, or I'm afraid of commitment because I was left at the altar once.
Yeah.
You know, it explains away the bad behavior of the person that is now the focus of the remainder of this movie. You know,
like I've been writing this book and I try my best to not have situations like that. Like they communicate, they actually talk. Now, there are some things that they keep to themselves because everybody needs to have something to themselves, but they're not sitting there like, oh, I heard her talking in the dark to her friend and I can't talk to her about it. Like, no, if you're that good of friends and if you love that person, you can talk to them about it. And if you can't, then you shouldn't be together. I hate that.
Right. I that goes back to that other trope that you were talking about, where just small miscommunications or a lack of communication in general is what leads to the rest of the film, or the mess throughout the rest of the film. Like just simple communication, you guys would have been fine.
Exactly.
But I think if nothing else, that works more now than it used to.
Yeah.
With people being so separated, because you don't have what you used to have in the dating scene. It's all online. You have people that are just stuck in their social media on a continual basis. You don't have people that are having lengthy telephone conversations because they're having it all in text.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, text conversations can be misinterpreted
exactly
really easily.
Exactly. Now, that would be a better way because you are communicating, but you're both thinking you're communicating something different. So that would be a good way of doing it because you are still talking, but you both aren't exactly sure what you're talking about. There's a comedian, Tig Navarro, that she said her and her wife were having a conversation before they had kids where they were like, can you have sex with kids? And one of them was like, yeah, you could totally have sex, you know, with kids. And the other one's like, no, I think that's illegal to have sex with kids.
That's not what I meant. No.
It's this whole conversation. They just keep going back and forth. And one of them is like getting more concerned about why you would want to have sex with kids. And the other one's like, I just think you'd be really tired and you wouldn't have time for it. And she's sitting there talking to the audience saying like, and now some of you are thinking she's trying to have sex with kids. And, you know, it's really funny, but it's that same thing. Like, you know, a comma on a shirt can mean something completely different. Like eat Joe's or eat Joe's, you know, whatever.
Right. Just a bit of punctuation, misplaced grammar, and you have a completely different sense.
Exactly. Or you think your partner's sleeping with kids, you know?
And I'll be honest with you, one of the most, and this has nothing to do with tropes, but what you're talking about, one of the most infuriating things is people, if I'm texting them and they have proper grammar, constantly texting me like acronyms for things, just like the slang version of whatever they were trying to get over to me. Like, I don't understand what all these letters mean. You know, I get what you're trying to get across, but why do I have to interpret what you're saying to me? Why can't you just say it?
Exactly. Ugh, I hate abbreviations.
Like, can I get out my little booklet of text acronyms, and I'll go over the slang dictionary, and now I've taken 30 minutes to piece together your 2 sentences that you sent me.
Right, because it was faster.
That's how we get misunderstandings.
Exactly. Well, I think we've really found all the great and horrible tropes that are out there. And all you directors that are listening, because obviously they're listening to my podcast, take note.
They should be.
They should, right?
Right. Definitely should be.
All right, guys. Well, same as always, if you want to find us, you can find us at Two Chicks Talkin Flicks at gmail.com or Two Chicks Talkin Flicks on all platforms. And where can they find you, Chris, if they want to seek you out?
They can reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're at Cinematic Anarchy everywhere except for Twitter, which is Cinematic Anarch 1. And you can also send us an email at cinematicanarchy@gmail.com. And feel free to reach out to either of us and send us your thoughts on what your favorite tropes or least favorite tropes actually are.
Yes, please do. All right, guys. Well, until next time, bye. This episode was produced by Two Chicks Talkin Flicks. Music was produced by Michael Girvani. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. If you'd like to be a part of the show, have a movie suggestion, or just want to give us some love, you can email us at twochickstalkinflicks@gmail.com. Thanks, guys. Toodles.